Gaze upon this map. See every hill and river, village and city. This is the land we will call our own. Hey, welcome back to another Elder Scrolls video. And today, we are going to be talking about the imperialistic nature of the Imperials of Cyrodiil, specifically the provinces of Morrowind and Black Marsh, and the details found within two books found in Oblivion Remastered on Morrowind, and the eastern provinces impartially considered. Right from the beginning of the legendary Tiber Septim's rule in the Second Era, he had one goal in mind: to unite all of Tamriel under one banner. Known as the Tiber War, his influence festered into every corner of Tamriel. In Black Marsh, Argonians never saw combat in the center of the province, but on its borders, the forces were quickly defeated by Tiber's military might. Fortunately for our lizard friends, the Imperials never tried to push deeper into the province, deeming the swampy terrain too inhospitable to be useful. The Tiber's imperial conquest of Morrowind has been detailed inside the book on Morrowind by Aramonwe of Sunhold. It can be found here in Machnaz Books in Shadenhall. After the conquest of Hammerfell, Imperial legions massed along the northeastern borders of Cyrodiil, and invasion fleets prepared in Skyrim. Initially, though the Imperial legions and navy were widely considered undefeatable, House Indoril and the Temple hierarchy proposed to resist to the death. Redoran and Dress stood by Indoril, with Talvani remaining neutral. Hlaalu proposed accommodation. Contrived border incidents in Black Marsh ended inconclusively, but the swampy terrain did not favor Legion and Navy coordination against the legions massed west of Silgrad Tower and Kraganmore, and the legions west of Blacklight and Cormaris View. Morrowind had pitifully small militias, stiffened by small companies of Redoran mercenaries and elite units of House Nobles and Temple Ordinators and Armingers. Further complicating matters was the refusal of Indoril, Dress, Hlaalu, and Talvani to garrison the western borders. Indoril and Dress proposed, rather than defend the western border, instead to withdraw to the interior and fight a guerrilla war, with Hlaalu advocating accommodation and Talvani remaining neutral. Redoran therefore faced the prospect of standing alone against the Empire. The situation changed radically when Vivec appeared in person in Vivec City to announce his negotiation of a treaty with Emperor Tiber Septim, recognizing Morrowind as a province of the Empire, but guaranteeing all rights of faith and self-government. A shocked temple hierarchy, which apparently had not been consulted, greeted the announcement with awkward silence. Indoril swore that they would resist to the death, with the loyal support of Dress, while Redoran, grateful for a graceful excuse to avoid facing the legions unsupported, joined with Hlaalu in welcoming the agreement. Talvani, seeing which way the wind blew, joined with Hlaalu and Redoran in supporting the treaty. Nothing is known of the circumstances of the personal meeting between Septim and Vivec, or where it took place, or the preliminaries which must have preceded the treaty. The public reason was to protect the identities of the agents involved. In the West, speculation has centered around the role of Zurin Arctis in brokering the agreement. In the East, rumors suggest that Vivec offered Numidium to aid in the conquest of the Altmer and Somerset Isle in return for significant concessions to preserve self-rule, house traditions, and religious practices in Morrowind. The Lord High Counselor of the Grand Council and Indoril refused to accept the treaty and refused to step down. He was assassinated and replaced by Hlaalu. House Hlaalu took the opportunity to settle some old scores with House Indoril, and a number of local councils changed hands in bloody coups. More blood was shed in these inter-house struggles than against the Imperial legions during Morrowind's transition from an independent nation to a province of the Empire. The generals of the Legion had dreaded an invasion of Morrowind. The Dunmer were widely regarded as the most dreadful and fanatic foes, further inspired by their temple and clan traditions. The generals had not grasped the political weakness of Morrowind, which Emperor Tiber Septim recognized and exploited. At the same time, given the tragic depopulation and destruction experienced by the other provinces conquered by Septim, and the swift and efficient assimilation of Morrowind into the Imperial legal systems and economy, with relatively small impact on lower and upper classes of Morrowind citizens, the Tribunal also deserves some credit for recognizing the hopelessness of Morrowind's defense, and the chance of gaining important concessions at the treaty table by being the first to offer peace. By contrast, many Indoril nobles chose to commit suicide rather than submit to the Empire, with the result that the house was significantly weakened during the period of transition, guaranteeing that they would lose much of their influence and power to House Hlaalu, whose influence and power was waxing with its enthusiastic accommodations with the Empire. The temple hierarchy more skillfully managed their loss of face, remaining aloof from political struggles and earning the goodwill of the people by concentrating on their economics, educational, and spiritual welfare. A whole era later, everyone's favorite mutant professor, Uriel Septim VII, would once again try to gather the whole of Nirn under the Imperial flag. Between 3rd Era 368 and 389, he aggressively targeted the provinces of Blackmarsh and Morrowind. This was because the previous attempts at colonization failed to truly replace the culture of their lands. The Dunmer and Argonians respectfully refused to have their traditions and ways of life stomped out by foreign influence. As usual, the Argonian home turf proved to be a steadfast defense against the Empire's meddling. But in Morrowind, Uriel was able to co-opt House Hlaalu, changing their stance from merely accommodating the Imperials to becoming nothing more than a mouthpiece for their interests. Criticisms of this expansion can be found in The Eastern Provinces, Impartially Considered, a book that shows the benefits and liabilities of the ongoing management of Morrowind and Blackmarsh. It can be found here in the first edition in the Imperial City Marketplace. And even if we overlook the dubious moral and legal justifications for hundreds of years of occupation of these two provinces, what economic or military benefit can we derive from Morrowind and Blackmarsh? Indeed, a few beneficiaries of imperial monopolies in the province do profit from the exploitation of their wealth and resources. But does the Empire as a whole benefit? The vast machineries of the imperial bureaucracies cost far more to maintain than can be recovered in duties and taxes. And the cost of establishing and maintaining the garrisons of the Imperial Legion in the far-flung wilderness posts of these provinces would be cost-effective only if there were evidence of a military threat in the east. But no such evidence exists. No army of Morrowind or Blackmarsh has ever threatened the security of any other Imperial province, let alone the security of Cyrodiil itself. In fact, a greater threat to the Imperial security lies in the idle legions that the taxpayer spends thousands of drakes to support. The generals of these legions facing no enemies or opposition within the borders of their provinces may look with ambition to the west. With their loyal veteran troops and coffers fattened by friendly monopolists, they become unpredictable political factors in the uncertainties surrounding the Imperial succession. If the occupation of Morrowind and Blackmarsh were motivated by idealistic aspirations, perhaps there might lie some justification for bearing the burden of the Empire. But consider the shame of the Empire's mute acceptance of the unspeakable practice of slavery in Morrowind. Instead of using our Imperial legions to free the wretched Khajiit and Argonian slaves from their dark elf masters, we pay our troopers to protect the indefensible institution of slavery. Within the ebony mines of Morrowind, bloated monopolists under Imperial charters exploit slave labor to harvest the outrageous profits assured by rampant graft and corruption. Consider the colossal arrogance of our position to bring peace and enlightenment to the East. when in fact, we have only brought our armies to lands who have never threatened us, and when we have only exploited the most shameful and evil practices we have found in Morrowind and Blackmarsh, simply to enrich the friends and flatterers of the Imperial family. Impartially considered, our occupation of the eastern provinces is morally corrupt, militarily indefensible, and economically ruinous. The only conclusion is that we should disband the Eastern Legions, withdraw the imperial bureaucracies and monopolists from the East, and give these ancient lands and peoples their freedom. Only by doing so may we hope to preserve the fragile ideals and fortunes of Western culture. Hey, thanks for watching that thing you just watched. Shout out to all you guys that are liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all that fun stuff. I love seeing all the positivity that comes from this kind of stuff. It makes me smile. It's genuinely just really super cool to see, and I am very hopeful that this heavily political video about colonization and imperialism and everyone's favorite topics are going to be super peaceful and positive, like always. Please, can we do that? Pretty please. It'll be what it be, I guess. And as always, remember, the sun will never set on the Imperial Empire.